How bad do you want it? Are you willing to be injured to score a basket?
Right, this brutal leveling took place in 1840 and was one of the very first instances of fossil-fueled imperialist war. With the new might of coal-powered warships that were unhindered by the whims of weather, Britain dismantled a burgeoning empire in what's now Egypt, Lebanon, and Palestine, forcing open their markets so surplus cotton could pour down their throats. As scholar Andreas Malm notes, steam allowed the admirals and captains to plug their boats into a current from the past, a source of energy external to the space and time of the actual battle.
So first, tell her about all the awards he's gotten.
Then get to the dirt. We have proof that Miller has been poisoning our community garden.
Got it. How does this sound? John Miller has won a lot of awards, but we have proof that he poisoned our garden. Brilliant, huh?
Pretty good.
What's the matter? It has the important facts.
Well, Fannie Mae said we had to sound on the story. It sounds too boring. Maybe we should make it sound more Fannie Mae-like.
And what does that mean?
Well, Fannie Mae has her own way of talking. She uses a lot of strong details, and she really knows how to stir people up with how bad a situation is.
Let's start by saying there's a scandal at Fort Greene,
through which the ships could therefore shoot as though they had wings of their own. 184 years later, Palestinians continue to be bombed by the fossil-fueled war machines of the Imperial Corps. Except this time, the shrapnel, tanks, and bullets pour from their settler colonial oppressors, Israel. Today we will attempt to reveal the deep connections between fossil capitalism, imperialism, and the settler colonial project that is Israel. We'll delve into how the current genocide of Palestinians in Gaza is connected to the broader desires of fossil capitalism, how the echoes of the past and the bombardment of Akka rattle through to the present, and why Palestinian freedom is not just an issue of moral justice, but also a struggle of climate justice and anti-imperialism.
You've probably heard of a tipping point, right? A system that has a point beyond which just a small change can suddenly, dramatically change the whole system. You may have heard of climate tipping points. For example, if the world warms too much, Arctic permafrost might melt, releasing tons of methane into the atmosphere. Or the Atlantic meridional overturning circulation might shut down, plunging Europe back into Ice Age conditions. But did you know there are also climate tipping points that scientists want us to hit? They're called...
A positive tipping point is a point where a small change can have a disproportionate effect, after which the system becomes self-propelling.
To be extremely clear, these tipping points are not physical, like the circulation in the Atlantic or the Amazon rainforest dying back. Instead, these are social or technological tipping points.
So, for instance, if one more person buys an electric vehicle, that creates a positive interaction with other people, making this a dominant technology.
Really good example. Not that long ago, there were barely any electric vehicles on the road. And so when somebody bought one and drove it around, it showed other people that these things existed, but also that they were cheap to run, that they didn't produce any tailpipe emissions, and they were quiet. And that made other people more likely to buy one. And that effect only became more pronounced the more people bought electric cars. If we put time on our horizontal axis and electric vehicle uptake on our vertical axis, then uptake will look something like this over time. To begin with, basically nobody is buying electric vehicles. But as that positive feedback loop starts to kick in, drivers start seeing other electric vehicles on the road, then the curve starts shooting upwards. Eventually, it gets really, really steep, which can't last forever. It has to level out like this, because eventually everybody's going to have an electric car. The system has changed to a new state.
But physically hurt you.
No place to go.
God hated it. And yeah, he carries even to this day. They made it personal.
Bombs fly
Fly the Glide says we're the two best in the game, but I'm not getting into a war of words with Mike.
Israel's greatest weapon. According to the Transnational Institute, Israel is now the largest cumulative recipient of U.S. foreign aid in the world, even though it ranks as the world's 13th wealthiest economy. To put it bluntly, the United States is bankrolling Zionist settler colonialism. Some claims that this immense support comes from the influence U.S. Zionist lobbying groups have on American politicians. But this misses the broader geopolitical advantages Israel's presence in West Asia has for the United States and its imperial core allies. For a country and indeed an economic system built on fossil fuels, the consistent flow of oil from countries of West Asia towards the factories, cars, and homes of the United States is crucial. In short, because fossil fuels allow for the ever-growing accumulation of capital, the United States has to ensure that that fuel supply will never stop. Up until the nationalization movements in the 1970s and 80s, imperial core corporations, alongside US-backed leaders like the Iranian Shah after 1953, maintained that consistent flow of oil. Indeed, as Adam Hania writes, the recentering of Europe's oil supply on the Middle East was a remarkably rapid process. Between 1947 and 1960, the share of Europe's oil that originated from the region doubled, rising from 43% to 85%. West Asian oil became a centerpiece of imperial core economies. But as West Asian countries began to wrestle control of that oil away from imperialist interests through nationalization of oil reserves, that flow was threatened.
Then she'd say, John Miller, Citizen of the Year, gives money to the children's home.
That's not all he's done for us. He dumped in how many?
12, I think.
And that's illegal.
He illegally dumped 12 barrels of that tetrachloro...
Come on, give me a break.
Perk. Poisonous perk.
I love it. Poisonous perk.
in our community garden.
Children got sick. Rats died.
Homeless people went hungry.
And the garden had to be closed down. Great. Then we do the audience participation part. We tried to get somebody to remove those barrels, but would anybody listen?
I can only blame myself.
She goes for it now.
And I can type it up on my computer so that it looks nice.
And I'll deliver it. The studio's not too far from here.
Public opinion turning against fossil fuels, the withdrawal of financial support for fossil fuel extraction, I made a whole video about that, cities becoming carbon neutral.
I just made a video about this. I would be very interested in what you have to say about this. Please leave a comment with who you think gets to decide this stuff. Because
talking about his threats to turn the power of the federal government and the National Guard against his critics.
demiurged and ruled over by a host of planetary demons bent on nothing less than the torture and enslavement of the divine spark hidden within each human being. The origin and nature of those rulers or archons in ancient Greek remains one of the more obscure issues in this quite honestly provocative theology. But the discovery of a wealth of ancient magical texts in a small library from Egypt has shed more light on the very beings these Christians felt must be finally defeated and surpassed as the soul escaped our cosmic prison. In this episode, I want to explore what we know about the archons, their origins in Greco-Egyptian cosmology and magic, and how ancient Christians, though now known often as Gnostics so problematically, thought they could soar beyond the terrible clutches of these beings. If you're interested in magic, Hermetic philosophy, Gnosticism, alchemy, Kabbalah, or the history of the occult, make sure to subscribe here for Esoterica. And also check out my
Benny, what's that? More pen pal letters?
Nope. I don't know where they're from. There's no return address. Hey, mine's from Tina. She wants to talk things out at 5:30. She says I should meet her in the park by the big rock.
Mine's from Lenny. She wants me to meet her at 5:30 near the swing. What do you think? Should we go?
Nothing on my tongue.
I really miss everybody, Alex.
It wouldn't really be going against Papa if we just listened to what they have to say.
When I first came into office, I cut taxes more than any other president. We have created 7 million new jobs. And
other content and topics
like we've never seen before. We developed the greatest economy in history by far.
This work of providing accessible, scholarly, free content on topics and esotericism here on YouTube and for free. This is supporting our work on Patreon, one-time donation. You can also take advantage of super thanks options for videos, or you can pick up some of our store tab for the channel. But now, let's explore the work.
We're going to make America
the
great again,
of our cosmic self.
I will fight for you with every breath, and I will never let you down.
President Trump is literally putting his life on the line, and he's willing to risk it all because he loves this country.
He is strong, he is fearless, and he is what this country needs right now.
Our cities will be safe, our streets will be clean, and our border will
and gentlemen, please welcome the next President of the United States, President Donald J. Trump.
They called them in those days and he had a son, but they had no money, and he worked at Latrobe. And they treated him good because he could do more work than anybody else, and his son started to grow up, and he realized his son was very strong like him, but he never had a chance to play golf. He had no money at all.
I think the question is central and key.